Every night before I go to bed, I go say goodnight to my grandmother, Barbara. She's 93 and she's a night owl. Always has been. Stays up till 3, 4 in the morning, long after I've called it a day. And every night, she's in her chair in the front living room, her spot. Little table next to her with everything she needs. The TV's on. Currently, she's rotating between Angel Has Fallen, Rebel Ridge, Home Alone 3, and Kindergarten Cop. That's my Barbara. Big headphones over her ears, and her face in her Kindle, playing solitaire or mahjong. And every night, I walk into that room, and she has no idea I'm there. I'm not sneaking. I'm not tiptoeing. I walk right up to her. I stand directly in front of her, and she takes no notice. So I reach down and I tap the top of her Kindle. Never fails. It startles her. Every time. And then she looks up and she laughs and says, "You snuck up on me. You're so sneaky." Here's the thing. I stopped correcting her because I honestly don't know if she's joking to make me feel better or joking to make herself feel better, or if she forgets entirely. And maybe it's all three. But that little moment, the tap, the startle, the laugh, it's taken me some time to understand what's actually happening in that chair. Once I did, it changed how I show up for her. Honestly, it changed how I show up for people, period. Welcome. This is Being Human on Purpose. I'm your host, Sara Olin, and I'm really glad you're here. Real quick, before we keep going, you've heard me say it before, I'm not the expert. I've got my stories, I've got my people, I've got my little theories. But I'm one human living one life. And this show has always been about seeing each other more clearly. So this fall, I'm bringing some other humans to the table. It's called Perspectives. Conversations with people whose lives look nothing like mine. Thinking out loud with me about what it means to be human, on purpose. No experts on pedestals, no interviews with a destination, just two people getting somewhere real. Coming in September, I hope you're looking forward to it as much as I am. Visit beinghumanonpurpose.com/perspectives for more information on how you or someone you know can apply to be a featured guest. The results are in. I have to share this with you. If you've been listening for a while, you know about Featherhaven Post Club, the monthly story newsletter for kids that comes straight from my backyard wildlife sanctuary. Well, the first issues are in mailboxes now. And yesterday, I got my very first review from an 8-year-old. He got his copy, sat down, and read the whole thing cover to cover in one sitting. And then he told his mom he likes it 1,000 times more than a certain very famous children's magazine his grandma used to get him. I'm not going to name the magazine, but if you grew up loving it as much as I did, you know exactly which one. And I am honored. Here's what he read, a story narrated by Amma, the ancient tree, the heart of the garden. A collectible wildlife card with a real photograph of Edelweiss, the great egret who shows up to my pond for breakfast every morning like royalty. And a field guide full of the kind of facts that make kids say, "Wait, really?" And no matter when your child joins, they start at the very beginning. Issue 1, meeting Edelweiss, being welcomed into the garden by Amma. Nobody joins in the middle. Nobody misses out. If you've got a young one at home who loves animals, loves getting real mail with their name on it, or could use a reason to slow down and notice the world outside, the Featherhaven Post Club was made for them. Come join us in the garden. Visit welcometofeatherhaven.com to reserve your child's first newsletter today. All links can be found in the show notes. All right, back to it. So, context. Barbara is deaf in one ear, and she's lost most of her hearing in the other. That part everybody tends to understand, right? Grandma's hard of hearing. Speak up, right? Except that's not it, or at least that's not all of it. As her care companion, I go to all of her appointments with her. Every doctor, every specialist, I'm in the room. A few hearing aids ago, the doctor explained something that honestly never crossed my mind. I just never thought about it before. As we age, the brain slows down. Not in a scary way, in a normal, this happens to all of us way. It just takes longer to process what's coming in, which, after hearing this, made complete sense. I mean, I knew reflexes slowed. Well, where do our reflexes get their instructions from? The brain, duh. It's not the reflexes as much as it's the processor, or the brain. So when Barbara doesn't understand you, the fix isn't always louder. In fact, that can actually be counterproductive, especially if she has her hearing aid in. Yelling definitely doesn't help her. It just makes for louder confusion. What helps is slower and clearer. Give her brain the time it needs to do its job. And her brain does its job. She's always saying, as long as I still have my brain, with regards to her quality of life. Once I understood that slowing down was the answer, I started recognizing it in other areas. One area that honestly baffled me for the longest time. When I take Barbara to the eye doctor and he does the peripheral vision test, she passes, flying colors every single time. But at home, in her chair, on her Kindle, I can literally walk right up next to her and she is clueless to my presence. How does that work? How do you pass a peripheral vision test and not see a whole grown woman standing less than a foot away? Just recently it clicked. At the eye doctor, she's actually paying attention to her peripheral vision. That's the whole assignment. At home, when she's on her Kindle, every ounce of her focus is on that screen. And I think, well, to be clear, this is my theory. No doctor has signed off on this. But I think her brain is putting its energy where her attention is and quietly turning down everything else. It's not that her eyes don't work, it's that her brain is focused somewhere else. And honestly, we all do that, don't we? I mean, I know I've done it. Deep in my phone, someone walks in and I jump out of my skin. Barbara's brain isn't doing something strange. It's doing what all our brains do. Hers has just turned it up some. Over the years, Barbara and I have built ourselves a rhythm. When a waiter asks her a question at a restaurant, she doesn't look at the waiter to repeat himself. She looks at me. When the doctor says something she doesn't catch, she looks at me. When we have company over and she doesn't understand something somebody asked, she looks at me. And I repeat it. Slower, clearer, and on her good side. She jokingly tells people that I'm her interpreter. We've got it down. This week, Barbara got a new hearing aid. I think in many ways, she quit getting her hopes up of things ever getting better with new hearing aids. It was more just, well, it's time for a new one because this one's over 4 years old now. Not, the technology has improved and I might be able to hear better. All I think she was really hoping for was something that felt better and didn't cause so much discomfort, hearing-wise. She let go of that expectation of hearing normal a long time ago. Hearing aids don't give you your hearing back. They just give you a version of it. Her old one made everything sound distorted and, in her words, tinny. So her hope was that the new one would be more comfortable. She'd rather the world sound a little muffled than distorted. That's what hope looks like at 93. Not bigger, just kinder. Well, yesterday we got it. And the good news is, she can't even feel it in her ear. Comfortable? Check. The problem is, it works. It works really well. She's hearing things she hasn't heard in years, and it's driving her crazy. Yesterday, it was the air conditioner. This morning, it was the dishwasher and the dryer. All sounds that she has forgotten because she hasn't heard them clearly, if at all, in the last 10 years or so. Within the first couple hours of wearing the new aid yesterday, she made comments about switching back to her old one. This is something she does. Her audiologist said that her brain just needs to get used to the new sounds. Once it does, she will quit hearing them as loudly. So now I've got a new interpreting job. I'm not just translating words anymore. I'm translating sounds. That's the dishwasher. That's the dryer. That's just the AC. Naming them so her brain can learn them, file them away, and then let them go. That's the thing about brains. Even at 93, they adapt. You just have to give them time and a little patience. Maybe a little more at 93. And she is doing that. She's sticking with it. Today's been better than yesterday. Oh, and the new hearing aid connects straight to the TV. So somewhere in the middle of all that frustration, there's a 93-year-old woman who's hearing her action movies properly for the first time in years. If for no other reason, the new aid was worth every penny because she can hear the TV. And I don't have to. It's not smooth sailing yet, but we're definitely headed in the right direction. I'm going to zoom out a little. I am ridiculously lucky. I'm 45 years old, and I have a grandchild, soon to be grandchildren, of my own. And I still have grandparents, plural, all in their late 80s and 90s. And here's what fascinates me. They're all aging, same season of life, and no two of them are doing it the same way. You've met Barbara. Barbara has, in her own way, surrendered to it. And I don't mean that sadly. I mean, she's leaned all the way in. She finds the whole process of aging fascinating. Her thin, wrinkled skin, her never feeling hungry, though she does eat, I promise. Her always being cold versus hot. Okay, maybe that one's not quite as fascinating to her as it is something to complain about. I turn the air down to 78 degrees at night, and sometimes, even in the summer, she needs a space heater. She jokes that she's going backwards in life. She says she's in her second childhood. She'll get snarky with me sometimes, and I'll tell her she's in her terrible twos again. This makes her laugh. She started collecting stuffed animals. Her bedroom's got a whole crew of them now, and she gets the biggest kick out of it. I'm like a little kid again, she says. And you know, Barbara was a little girl during World War II, and I catch myself imagining. Of course, this is just me imagining, but maybe she's giving herself the childhood she didn't get the first time around. I hope this one's better. Every other Wednesday morning, we go out to breakfast, just the two of us. Because it's only a short walk into the restaurant, and because it's kind of tight in there, she leaves her walker at home. So from the car to our regular booth, she holds on to me. Sometimes she just holds my arm for balance, but sometimes she holds my hand like a little kid holds their mother's hand. And she thinks that's funny. She jokes about that too. Once in a while, out of nowhere, she'll say something like, "I'm getting lazy because Sara does everything for me." And she laughs when she says it, but I hear it. Then there's my granddad, my mom's dad. He's also 93. My granddad is the opposite of surrender. My granddad fought. Now, I'll be honest with you, I didn't see most of this up close. It came to me in pieces, the way family news does, through my mom, through my uncles, but the picture's clear enough. He and my grandma Ruby live at the top of a steep hill. There's a shed out back with a loft you need a ladder to reach. They've got a cellar and the steps are narrow and short and honestly a little treacherous for anybody. And well, into the 70s and 80s, my granddad was still doing a lot of it. The leaves, the acorns in the fall, the maintenance, the ladder. Because that's who he is. He's a proud, independent man. And he didn't stop until he literally couldn't anymore. These days, I'd say he's come to terms with it, but I wouldn't say he's at peace with it. There's a difference. You can hear it in his voice. Ever so often, it's just there, this heaviness. And we do what we can to remind him, he's still here and he's still doing as well as he is. But I'm not going to pretend that fixes it. Because for a man like my granddad, having things taken off his plate one by one, even by people who love him, that's not always relief. Often, it's loss. And then there's Grandma Ruby, 99 years old. And if Granddad's thing was independence, Ruby's is control. It's her home, her kitchen, her way. She still wants to clean it, still wants to cook in it, and she's not doing it the way she used to, but that's not the point. The point is, it's hers. Handing that over to somebody else, even somebody helping, that's not help to her. That's somebody moving her cheese. And then there's my grandma, my mom's mom. She's 87, the baby of the bunch. And she is 5'0" of pure caregiver. She has spent her entire life taking care of everybody around her. This past Christmas, she had a house full of us. Me, my brother and his family, my kids and their families. My daughters-in-law were doing all the cooking. There were more than enough hands in that house. At one point, though, I looked over into the kitchen, and there is my 87-year-old grandmother, who has osteoporosis, by the way, 3 steps up a step stool, reaching into the top cabinets. Honestly, I yelled at her. I did. "Grandma, you're not supposed to be doing that. You've got all of us here. Please ask for help." I kept it light, mostly, but I meant every word. Because at her age, a fall isn't just a fall. A broken bone isn't just a broken bone. Looking back, I probably could have handled it a little bit better. It came out sharper than she deserved. But here's the thing I couldn't stop thinking about. She had a house full of people who would have raced each other to reach that top shelf for her. And she didn't ask. It never occurred to her to ask. Because she's the one who takes care of people. She doesn't get taken care of. That's not how her story goes. Surrender, independence, control, and the caregiver who can't be cared for. 4 people I love, 4 completely different answers to the same season of life. And here's the thing. I don't think any of them are doing it wrong. I don't think there is a right way to do this. There's just the way that lets you keep feeling like yourself. You know, my learning something about myself while pulling together content for an episode is starting to be a weekly thing. I love it. That thing my grandma done, the not asking, I know exactly where I get it from now. I totally do it too. Of everything I could have inherited from that woman, I got that. And that isn't a complaint. But awareness is super important. I'm a caregiver. It's just in me. Taking care of my family, my Barbara, my parents, my kids. It's not something I decide to do. It just kicks in. There's no thought process behind it. People thank me all the time for everything I do for Barbara. And I appreciate it, I do. But the way they say it, it's like they're assuming it's this heavy thing I'm carrying. And it's not. She's one of my favorite people on this planet. And she has been since I was a little girl. Taking care of her isn't a burden. It's just what my loving her looks like. But ask me to be on the receiving end of that? Yeah, no. Oh, I try. I really do try to ask for help. But more times than not, I talk myself out of it. And I know my scripts by heart. I can handle it. It's not that big a deal. By the time I explain it to somebody, I could have just done it myself. And the worst one, the one I'm not proud of, sometimes, instead of asking, I just let the thing go. Whatever it was I needed help with, it just doesn't happen. I'd rather drop it entirely than ask. Now sit with that 1 second. Because it's something that happens with aging people everywhere. They don't ask. So the thing just stops happening. The top shelf stops getting used. The lawn quits getting cut. The world gets a little smaller. And not entirely because the body gave out, but because asking felt like the bigger loss. I'm 45, and I'm already doing the rookie version of it. So when I yelled at my grandma on the step stool, I don't think I was just yelling at her. I think some part of me was yelling at myself 40 years down the road. on a step stool in a house full of people who love her, still unable to say the words, "Can somebody reach that for me?" Here's the truth. Aging isn't something that starts at 80. The postures, the surrender, the fighting, the control, the not asking, we're rehearsing them right now. Whatever you and I do today when we need help, that's the habit we're going to grow old inside of. And I definitely don't have that one figured out. I've told you before, I'm not the expert. I'm just aware. And awareness, well, that's where everything starts. So what do you do with all of this? Because noticing is one thing. But somewhere along the line, all this noticing turned into a way of doing things with Barbara. And I didn't even realize it was a system until I tried to explain it out loud. The system? I offer before she has to ask. If I see something coming, something she might need, something that might be getting harder, I ask the question first. Want me to grab that? Would you like me to do this? And if she says no, I'll get it, I let her. I let her do it. Because it's not my job to take things away from her. As long as it's not a safety thing or a health thing, she gets to keep it. Her independence isn't mine to manage. But the moment she asks me to do something, even once, I just do it from then on. I don't make her ask twice. I don't wait for the next time. It's mine now, quietly, forever. And I never really thought about why I do it that way until I was putting this episode together. But I think I know now. I know what asking costs. I know it from the inside. So somewhere along the line, without deciding to, I built a life for Barbara where asking is as cheap as I can possibly make it. She should spend that coin as rarely as possible because I know how heavy it is in the hand. Now, I want to be careful here because I'm not standing on this mountain like I've got it mastered. I get it wrong. Barbara will tell you. She'll say, joking, of course, always joking, but stop talking to me like I'm a child. Or my personal favorite, you never let me do anything. And she laughs when she says it, but there's truth behind the laughter. Because sometimes out of love, I take something from her before I realize I'm doing it. Love doesn't make you immune to that. Sometimes love is exactly what causes it. So the ripple for me comes down to two questions I try to hold. And I hold them imperfectly. When I'm helping somebody, is this for their safety or for their dignity? Because those are different things, both valid, but the answer changes what I do next. A step stool at 87 with osteoporosis? Safety. I'll take that yell back in tone, but not in substance. Barbara wanting to carry her own plate to the kitchen? Dignity. Hands off, Sara. And when somebody's helping me, can I let them? Can I spend the coin? Because if I can't, if I keep practicing the not asking every day in my 40s, then I already know exactly which grandma I'm going to be on that step stool in my 80s. Slower and more clear, not louder. Offer before they ask. And let people love you back. I'm working on that last one. Before I let you go, I want to say something to a particular listener. If you're in that season of life right now, if you're the one with the hearing aid, or the walker you left at home, or the top shelf you quietly stopped using, I want you to hear this from me. It's not all in your head. And you're not the only one. But the people around you, the ones fumbling it, talking too loud, taking things off your plate you didn't ask them to take, most of them are doing their imperfect best at something nobody taught them how to do. That's their version of love. It comes out clumsy sometimes. I know mine does. And for the rest of us, here's the truth I keep landing on. I have absolutely no idea what it feels like to be in their shoes. I can only imagine. I'm guessing every single day. And here's the part that gets me. By the time I finally do know, by the time I'm the one in the chair with the Kindle, the people who could have told me, yes, that's exactly it, won't be here anymore. So the patience, the slowing down, the offering before they ask, the letting them keep what's theirs to keep, that's not someday work. That's now work. I lead with love, and I hope it's felt. Do me a favor, because I love it when my listeners engage with me. If you caught yourself nodding at something I said during this episode, or if somebody came to mind while you were listening, drop a heart hands emoji in the comments. No words needed. I'll know exactly what you mean. If you feel like saying more, finish this sentence for me. The person I want to slow down for is blank. Maybe it's a grandparent. Maybe it's a parent. Maybe, and I see you, maybe it's you. Be patient with them. Be patient with you. Until next time, be a little more human, a little more on purpose. All my love.